All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another episode of the Ashish David Show. In the previous season, season 3, there were a lot of musicians. There were people from California. There was a 17-year-old, all kinds of different musicians from different parts of the world, talking about their stories. And season 4 is going to be primarily about people from other countries. But here I'm going to make an exception because I came across a gentleman who has been doing some great work as far as music is concerned. And I was like, man, I need to get this guy on my show. Without any further ado, I'm going to tell you about my guest. But before that, I have to tell you a little bit about the show as well. The show is basically about having conversations with people, who are just like you and me, but they are doing things differently. They have chosen a different path of life, or they maybe they are on their way to finding their path, or maybe they have already been on their path for a while and they've achieved some success. And well, that is the category that my current guest belongs to. And without any further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Ravi Iyer. Ravi Iyer, welcome to the Ashish David Show.
Thank you, Ashish. Such a pleasure to be on your podcast show. And thank you so much. Thank you, everyone who's been watching.
Yeah, man. So, Ravi, we had a little bit of a conversation. Now you're on the show.
Right.
Tell our guests a little bit about you. Some like I know you. A lot of people know you. But for those people who don't know you and want to know you, how would you describe Ravi Iyer?
I can confidently say I'm a very passionate human and very compassionate as well. And I've been the way. I've never changed right from, I guess, from the time I was in my teens or maybe before. You could still call me a toddler.
Right. And so music is basically your passion, or is it also your profession? Is there something else that you do besides music?
No, music is my profession and my passion. And it has always been that way right from the time I wanted to be that way. But I had certain roller coasters in between during the initial years, which probably we may come to.
Again, welcome to the Ashish David Show. Let's get in your story and, let's start from the very beginning. Ravi, which city were you growing up in? What were the times like at that time? And how did music enter Ravi Iyer's life?
Well, I come from a Tam family, and both my parents. I lost my dad when I was 1 year old, actually. So I don't remember my dad at all. He was knocked down by a truck. He'd passed away with an accident. And we've always been in Bombay. My mom was born and brought up in Bombay. My granddad migrated to Bombay or Mumbai currently in the year 1919.
Wow.
So we've been here since 1919. That is 1919. And
for the kids who might think it's 1990, no, it's 1919.
Exactly. So they might just mishear it as 1990.
Right.
So, my mom was born here. So, we've been a thorough, Bombay or Mumbaikar right from the beginning. And both my mom and aunt, mom was into Hindustani classical. My aunt was into Carnatic classical. My mom was a Visharad in vocal music in classical. My aunt used to play the veena and the violin. She was trained in Carnatic. Though, of course, both of them didn't pursue their careers in music, but they were very, very advanced in their, in their education music-wise. And very qualified in classical music, but they both were academicians because obviously our circumstances were not so great. I was told that they had to borrow money to to cremate my granddad when he passed away. Those days Pathans used to lend money, and they had to borrow money to cremate him at that point of time. So things were that way, and slowly, everything fell into place. So that's the reason why they could not pursue music as such, because for them, work, and only work throughout their lives. Both of them were academicians. My aunt used to teach in Bombay Scottish in Mahim. She used to teach the senior students.
Wow.
She was a maths and English teacher there in Mahim. And my mother was retired as a vice principal from Holy Cross High School in Lower Parel. So she was a maths and science teacher. They always wanted me to learn music. So when I was barely about, I think, 6.5 years, they put me in a tabla class. We used to live in Parel that time. So they put me in a tabla class, and I used to religiously attend those classes, every week. I learned from the age of 7 to about age of 11. And at the age of 11, I took part in a inter-school competition where I played a half an hour tabla solo, with a harmonium lahira and all that. I still remember I was made to feel so conscious during that competition, because what happened was there were all categories, right? There was a piano player and there was a guitar player and so many other. And the organizers used to get very irritated with the classical musicians because they should take a lot of time. At that, impressionable age, when you're looking to go on stage the first time to perform, and then you're constantly bombarded with, people saying, "Hey, please finish your, performance before so and so time, and we won't have so much time," and everything. It was constantly. So there was a lot of pressure in my head, before entering. But I mean, I just went. I prayed to God, and I went and I performed, and you won't believe it, I came first.
Wow.
I stood gold medalist with all the categories. It was not just the tabla category; it was amongst all categories. So I stood gold medalist, and my sir was there. Uh, he was so happy to see that, and that's how it started. And after that, I was really doing good in tabla. But Ashish, what happens is at that point of time, Western music had just kind of creeped in or seeped into our culture. John Travolta and Bonnie M and ABBA and all the disco era,
So, Ravi,
and
what was this time like? I'm just trying to
78, 78.
78. All right.
Yeah, I took part in the tabla competition. That was around 75. No, sorry. 75 I started. I'm talking about, I was 68 born. So 75, 78, around 80, around 80 or so.
All
So
right.
late 70s.
So that is when Boney M was happening. That's when ABBA was happening.
ABBA
The
and
Carpenters.
correct. Cerrone, Giorgio Moroder. The works, craft work and all that. So suddenly my whole attention drifted to Western music, and tabla just took a back seat after
So
that.
who actually introduced you to Western music? Because it's usually a friend, or it's a senior,
Correct.
or it's a elder cousin or someone.
Eldest cousin.
So he must
My
be the
mom.
one. So he must be the one, telling you to either tune into the radio or.
Absolutely. So he was the one who introduced me to all the, those Western disco stuff. And I said, "Tabla, what are you doing with tabla?" I'm like, okay. So then, sometimes influences are, I don't know, bad or good, whatever it is. But eventually, sadly and unfortunately, tabla took a backseat completely. My sir was very angry, actually. He was very disturbed that I gave up, and not been playing. Of course, then, of course, we lost touch for many years. Then in college, I was 18 when I first heard Deep Purple. It was introduced by one of my friends. In fact, Rainbow. He introduced me to this specific song called Temple of the King.
Yeah.
By Richie Blackmore.
Someday in the year of the fox in the time,
Yes.
I remember well. Right. I love that song.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song. So when I heard that, I fell in love with Richie Blackmore. Then I came to know that he also has a band called Deep Purple, and I've been an ardent fan of him right through till date, and I've been following him. I quite relate to a lot of his ideologies as well, which obviously I come to know now because of internet. Those days we never had, any sources. And that's when I started with guitar. And
So I want to know about that time when we didn't, when you were growing up in the late 70s, Ravi, early 80s, and there were no sources of music. How were you getting your music at that time, man?
It's only cassettes. There were only cassettes. So I used to regularly visit Rhythm House, and I used to visit Hero Music House in town, and there were a couple of other music stores in Matunga, and constantly I used to keep going there and keep on asking them, what are the new releases that you've got now? Can you beat that? I used to go to the shop, and I used to ask the shop guy, what has come, in this week, or are you planning to get some new releases? So he used to lay down all the cassettes, of
Right.
the latest.
It used to either be in a drawer, like either it used to be a drawer,
Exactly.
or it used to be in a glass
On the shelf.
compartment,
Yeah.
or the shelf, basically.
Yes, on the shelf. So they used to pick it out and they used to lay that down, and they said, okay, these are the ones that we have received for distribution. And I used to pick and choose. And those days, I mean, sometimes we used to go by the cover. So
Yeah.
whichever cover looked fascinating to me.
Same here, man. So I was having the same conversation with somebody else, and I was telling them the first tape that I bought was around 85 or 86, and that was
Yeah.
Sting, Dream of the Blue Turtles.
Right.
And my only criteria when you're 6 or something, like I'm 80 born, so
Right.
so I was like going by the cover, and
Right.
somehow I still, like, Ravi, you'll be surprised when I'm even browsing through Spotify, I'm
Yeah.
still looking at the cover even now.
Of course, and covers are very important, because a cover tells you the mood of the album. It expresses the composer's feelings, actually, if you go to see.
Yeah,
So
visually.
and the moment you strike a chord with the cover, then okay, your taste and that artist's taste is pretty much similar.
Yeah.
And you know what to expect, what sound to expect from that cover. Actually.
Right. So you were at that time you were browsing, like, tapes and picking up
Yes.
stuff.
I love Ceron for the music
Right.
that he did, and I think he was far ahead of time, and he was very experimental in whatever he used to project.
Tell us a little bit about what was the college or, like, scene like, because when you must have come to college, I'm sure you must have started performing or at least meeting other musicians. So were there any venues that you were going to, or any music festivals, or
Of course,
any live gigs that you attended that really kind of changed your worldview?
Of course, everything started from there, because when I was in college, I used to regularly attend the Mood Indigo.
Yeah, the Mood Indigo was like the big competition.
The big Mood Indigo and Independence Rock at Rang Bhavan. So these were the concerts that I used to visit, and I used to, fantasize I'll be there one day. And well, I've done all those shows. We've headlined at Mudai, and we've headlined at Rang Bhavan. I mean, the works. We've played all over the country.
Lovely. So when you started performing, was it just you solo as a musician? Was it in a band?
No, not really. See, I'm a very what can I say? I love band culture. I love to be a part of a band, and so right from the beginning, I had decided that I want to be a part of a band. Now, whether I'm the leader of the band or I'm not the leader of the band is secondary. But like a band, like a rock band together, which is like a family, and which has similar ideas and similar thoughts and everything. So I've always been that way, and that's when I formed my first band. In fact, my very first band before the Witch Hammer, I co-formed in 90s, and before that I had formed another band which didn't really do well because I mean, musically and member-wise, it didn't take off so well. It was a bit of a shamble. But after that, we formed Witch Hammer, and it was fantastic. And the kind of rehearsals and the kind of shows we did, my God, it's like goosebumps. Absolutely.
Even the name Witch Hammer, like, sounds pretty awesome, man. Like,
yeah, it is. I mean, Witch Hammer, obviously, the name was given by the other guitar player who was there with us. That was Paresh used to play with us. And the name was given by him. And so we kind of co-formed together.
Paresh Kamath.
Paresh Kamath, yeah.
Right.
Paresh, so we were all together.
His brother is also in
Brother
music.
joined Witch Hammer much later. Earlier, the lineup was different. We went through a little change of lineups as usual.
All right. So
Yeah.
his brother's name is Paresh and
Naresh.
Naresh. Right. So I think I had met Paresh and Naresh when I was in Bombay, somewhere in the mid 2000s, when we had gone there to record at what is now Yash Raj Studio. We had
Right.
gone there to record an a cappella choir. So
Okay.
it was like some 28 of us who had traveled from
Wow.
Delhi.
Oh yeah, I think you are into acapella and you do
Yes. So
this
this is
stuff.
this is then. Right now, like, of course, like, I'm not really in a choir, so I'm not singing that kind of music. But
Okay.
this is like, in the mid 2000s, early 2000s, I was a part of an a
Right.
cappella choir, and incidentally, our leader, who was like sort of like getting the whole thing together,
Right.
is now the Indian Music Society head in Berklee College
Okay.
of Music, Boston.
Oh wow. Wow.
So she went there, and I think she's also on A.R. Rahman's panel, and like loads of great
Nice.
things happened for her. But
Wow.
that is when I had come to Bombay. I met like Shantanu Huldekar, who was kind
Correct.
of
Yes.
recording, and like I think now
Of
he's
course.
sort of not with that company anymore. He's
Right.
independent. But that's when I got to meet him, and then I met like other bunch of people, like, so that's
Yeah.
how I
Yeah.
know Naresh.
Yeah. So we did a lot of shows. I mean, we used to perform like the same gig used to have Rock Machine playing and our band playing. Then Agni, So Agni, Vichama, Rock Machine. Then there was another band called Crisis. So we were all there together at the same time, everywhere. And we've done concerts together. So we had some amazing times. And before that, as you rightly said, before I started playing, I used to attend a lot of concerts. Those days, fun fairs in schools used to be rock concerts. And you won't believe, I mean, bands like Exodus, Sabretooth, Bronze Axe, these were my idols.
Wow.
And Sabretooth used to do only Iron Maiden and Black Sabbath. Bronze Axe used to do Doors and Pink Floyd. I mean, what more? These are the inspirations that gave us to continue, that kind of music for what we do till today. And
Absolutely.
Exodus was a three-member band. It was just drum, bass, and guitar. And the guitar player, he used to sing himself, and they used to do tracks like Motorhead and Fireball by Deep Purple, and I mean, such challenging songs just between three of them. Then there was another band called Hammersmith, and they were so good at Dire Straits. I still
Wow.
remember watching their concert in Hansraj College auditorium in town. I can't tell you, those times were like fabulous. Yeah, fabulous, absolutely.
Absolutely. And I don't know if you managed to catch it, but I actually happened to interview Bharat Swami of Agni.
Oh yes, I
And
did watch it recently. I was so
yeah,
glad
so
to watch that.
so I was like, like, because also the reason why, like, I decided to interview you was because I wanted to know about, what the scene was like at that
Correct.
time in
Yes.
Bombay,
Yes.
because I'm born and brought up in Delhi, but like I'm technically a Marathi because I'm Ashish Ddavidd Meshramkar.
Oh, is it okay?
Yeah. So my father is from a very small place called Washim, not Vashi, Washim,
Uh-huh.
which is
Washim,
near
right.
Akola, Buldhana, Chikli,
Yeah, of course, I know
that
that
area.
place. Correct.
So,
Correct.
but like, like him and my mom, like my father and my mother settled in Delhi. So I've always
Uh-huh.
been a kind of Delhi product, but
Okay.
my roots are from Maharashtra.
Right.
So I was always like, curious. Like I am obviously curious about so many things, which is why the show is
Right.
there. But I wanted to know more about that time. So it's really
Sure.
nice to
Sure.
Ravi, hear these stories of all these lovely
Sure.
people and wonderful people.
Our main, when we were in Vichama, our main tension used to be to find a jam room to practice. Can you beat that?
Yes.
And every day, this was the biggest responsibility for us as to where will we practice. So we changed the practice places from, I can't tell you how many times we have changed with all our gear, the amplifier, the entire drum kit. We used to carry everything, Ashish. We used to carry everything and move around from one place to the other to rehearse. Then there came a point where we had taken somebody's terrace on hire. We used to pay him some 200, 300 bucks, which we used to share together and pay the rent to that guy per month to rehearse on his terrace. Then we got kicked out from there. after we got kicked out from there, we rehearsed in a garage in Bandra, which was a motorcycle garage. You will not believe, every day we had to remove the bikes out, set up our gear, practice. After we finish the practice, again put our gear back on the cupboards and everything, bring those bikes inside, and then shut the garage.
बेसिकली आपका जिम का खर्चा बच गया.
हाँ.
And like, everybody was wondering why this guy is, banned and this guy is so muscular, man. Like, little did they know आपने कितनी मेहनत करी है.
More than that, you become mentally muscular.
Was there any good instrument shop there in Bombay that time?
Bhargava was the only one. Bhargavas and Fatados. That's it. And plus we used to put posters of Fender Stratocasters and ogle at it for hours and hours at home. Or if somebody had a guitar player magazine, oh my God, he's finished. We used to literally strip him apart and take away that magazine. And those days there used to be a magazine called Sun magazine that used to come.
I remember Sun. Yes. It used to be like this big newspaperish kind of a magazine, and it used to have I think some articles about music and popular culture. Correct. If I'm not wrong,
and poster, and a huge poster.
Yes, of some band. There'll be some band.
Yes.
Oh,
so my room was full of Sun posters. Heart, the band Heart, and Rod Stewart and everything. So access to a guitar, a US made Strat, was out of question. My first guitar.
जैसे आपके पास अगर बाहर का गिटार है तो you are like, आपका सोशल औकात बहुत ज्यादा हाई हो जाएगा मतलब.
Absolutely high, मतलब. And there were guys, because some of them were rich, so they used to get, oh my God, everybody used to, dude, this
my
guy
uncle has come from USA. He got imported guitar for me.
Right. So ऐसा सीन था तभी. My first guitar was again handmade by Peter Pereira, which I waited for 2 years to get the delivery after I gave him the order. And that's how I started. And of course, now a couple of years back, I used to endorse PRS guitars. That I have an American Paul Reed now. So I feel really humbled to even think that somewhere we've reached.
No, that's awesome. So Ravi, so this is the sort of the 30-minute mark, so to speak. So this is in the show the time where I ask my guests to do a little bit of performance or sing. I mean, like, of course, you're the guitar player, so you're gonna have a little, something playing for us. So tell us, what are you gonna play for us today, man? Because our audiences are like, okay, fine, we know a little bit about him. Now let's hear him do his thing.
It's called Todi Jaldi.
Okay, is it Todi to do with the drink Todi?
Todi, that is Toddy.
Toddy, yeah. Is it Toddy Jaldi? Why is that Toddy Jaldi? Is it that?
This is got to do with the rag Todi.
Okay.
Which is the rag Todi, and it's based on that influence. And Jaldi, I kept it Jaldi because the song is very kind of, everything is in a hurry kind of a thing. So this is a song, this is one of my recent releases as a single which I released on my Spotify and everything. And this has my tabla player who I usually play with, Rupak Damankar, who's played the tabla. And a very good friend of mine who plays the veena. So she's Sai Priya Vishwanathan, and she's played the veena in it.
Lovely.
And the drums and the bass and the keyboard and everything I have only done in the track. So I'm going to be playing you with the backing track, and I'll be playing live.
Superb, man. Superb. Awesome.
Yeah? I hope you like it, and all our viewers who are watching this.
They are thrilled to have you on the show and to be hearing your music, man.
That's Cypre on the Veena.
Awesome! What a lovely song and what an awesome composition. Thank you so much for playing that for us, Ravi. And I
Thank
love,
you so
like,
much.
how melodic and how rhythmic it is, and how the drums and the bass and your playing are like
Yeah,
locked. The pockets and everything is so
yeah,
locked.
yeah.
And although, like hearing it right now, and I'm sure the produced version would be like absolutely mind blowing because it's
Yeah,
mixed and
it's
all.
really it's released. It's there on Spotify. You can always check it out.
Absolutely. And what is the name of this song, Ravi?
Todi Jaldi. It's called Todi Jaldi.
Tori
But
Jaldi.
it's released as Todi Jaldi crossover.
All
Todi
right.
Jaldi
And
crossover.
it's under your name, right? So we
Yeah,
search
yeah.
for Ravi Iyer. All right.
Yes, yes. In fact,
So
I have a music store on my website as well. Yeah.
what was like kind of like the next phase of your life, and education wise or profession wise? Also, if you could
Yeah.
talk
So
about.
basically, what had happened was by the time I did my graduation in physics, but by the time I was in my TY and everything, I already was part of this band, and we were already performing concerts all over the place. So my studies kind of took a little backseat after my graduation, and I was way too busy performing everywhere. And I had, in fact, started teaching as well at that point of time. So my teaching already started then, and I used to perform. But later on, I think around 92 or 93, the band broke up, and I was kind of went through a very bad phase because I didn't know what to do in life because music is the only thing, and there was too much pressure from friends and relatives and even my parents. Though of course they supported me for everything, anyone would get uh, worried as to
Yes.
where he's going.
Right.
So I had very long hair that time, and I still remember I went for an interview with that long hair for a white collar job. I gave up music, by the way. I quit music. I went for that interview, and that guy said, "Look, I can take you, but I can't take you with this hair." The next day, I chopped off my hair, and I went back and I met him. I said, "See, look, I've chopped my hair off. Now, can you give me the job?" you know. So I took up that job, but I didn't last long there. Then I went into advertising. So I worked as a client servicing executive for almost 4 or 5 years in a couple of ad agencies back then. And you won't believe, 5 years I did not even touch the guitar. So I lost out on a lot of opportunities, and uh, I was completely out of the circuit. Then, if at all you want to call it as a circuit, so that completely I was then working and couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't like really last. Then finally, in '97, I formed my other band, and I got back to doing some commercial music. I used to do background scores for television. Uh, for I did music for this serial called Cats, which used to come at that time with
Okay.
Nafisa Joseph and the other two women,
Yeah.
and Commando, which used to come on ZTV.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So you did the guitar part
Background
or the
score,
entire music?
entire background score, entire
All
background
right. So
score.
so you were into composing, you were into
Composing, yes,
arranging
yes,
or producing
yes, yes.
music.
Correct, correct. And those that background scores have been done on my COG N364 on a floppy drive.
Wow.
Watching a video cassette on a video cassette player. They used to send us the video cassettes, and we used to sit at home with our TV and the VCR and watch the scenes and create the music on the N364 COG floppy drive.
Wow. That must have been quite an experience.
Oh yeah, so I mean, all of us went through that. All the musicians of our time, everyone did that. It's not only me. So
So this
everyone
was
did that.
after those 5 years in like the advertising.
Yeah, yeah. After the
So
advertising
after that
period,
you must have like how did you come back to music then?
yeah, that's when. This is how I came back, because then I formed that band, and then again I started teaching and started. I mean, I did some music for television and everything, and from then on it's been on continuously. I have not looked back. Well, it was only band. We were busy doing a lot of concerts with the other band as well, and things just went by. Then we did an album as well, and then I had two more bands, rock bands which were formed one after the other. Because see what happens, I'll tell you, Ashish, honestly, it's very difficult to keep a band together.
Yes.
And as a band leader, what happens is, see, I every time I used to be the one who used to completely do all the following up payments, and following up pitching for shows and meeting people and getting shows. So everything was on me, most of the time. And and then secondly, balancing the band, balancing the guys. And couple of times what used to happen was I was the only one who was totally interested in a full-time music, whereas the
Right.
others used to work, and they
Right.
used to double time with their job and music.
So their level of commitment and interest and
Used to be less.
enthusiasm
Yes,
will not
yes,
be the same.
will not be the same. But still, I overlooked all that. I never, kind of, because what is important to me is relations. What is important to me is band as a family and everything. But then still, it doesn't work. In the long run, then things just fall apart. And then there are others who are busy playing with every other artist, and a band for them is just another band. you know
Right. And especially, I
It's all
think
sorts of.
right now also like that, that whole culture that used to be there at one time, that, you were known as the band that you were with, has
Yes.
now kind of gone out the window. Now what is
Yes.
happening is one guy will try to, so he'll think, okay, fine, this guy is giving me 3 gigs, that guy is
Yes.
giving 4 gigs.
Yes.
So
Yes.
what I'll do is I'll give little time here, give little time here.
Yes.
So for monetarily, then that'll make sense for him. But
Yes.
for you as a band leader, that doesn't work out, because that person is like, playing bum notes, like
Yes. Lot of things. I mean, you see,
forgetting
it's
the
about
arrangement.
it's not about the music only, Ashish. It's about how you are as a person. No, how you are as a person. What everything is not superficial. You got to look beyond just what is there on the table. Only then will you be successful. Because as you rightly said, there was a time when a band is known as a band. You understand? It's not you or you or you because of whom the band is. It's not that way. It's together. That's
Yes.
why it's called a band. No, otherwise, I can always be a solo artist and hire whoever I want. I never did that right from the beginning because I was very passionate about keeping a band together, but it did not work with me.
Even I have like, a little bit of a band history. I don't know, Ravi, if you've heard of this band called Them Clones.
Of course, very much. Very
So
much.
I'm this founder, lead vocalist of Them Clones.
What are you saying?
Yeah. So in 1999, I formed Them Clones in Delhi. So I was a part of that. Then I have, been a part of GI 2007 band. It was called Out of the Blue. So we performed there. Then for a very long time, I was also associated with Dr. Palash Sen and Euphoria.
Right.
So I sang sessions on their Mehfooz album.
Right.
I've even actually sung for a Bollywood film. For a lot of my viewers, they don't know. So Ekta Kapoor's she had released like this film called Kukku Mathur Ki Jand Ho Gayi. They made me sing like a rap song in that because they like my baritone.
Right.
And so Them Clones was also there. I was there only for the very small initial phase of that band, like for about a year and a half. When they were not really that like successful, but I had started off the band. And right now I'm a part of a blues band called Jive Can. And so this is where this is my own studio. So I'm also a recording and mix engineer.
Right.
And I record, mix and master independent bands here making their own music. So, with whatever little experience I've had, I've also faced the same thing that, like the golden line that you said is very difficult to keep a band together.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you honestly. If somebody says that he wants to join a band or he wants to be a part of a band, he better understand what is the meaning of a band, first of all. Okay. One has to understand what is the meaning of a band and what are the things that are involved in keeping the band strong together. You have to sacrifice. Learn to sacrifice first. Learn to sacrifice your gigs first. You understand? If you want to prioritize, it's like your family comes first, right? Tomorrow, if anything happens outside, and are you going to leave your family and go there? If any other opportunity comes in, you need to first focus on what your family requires.
Yes.
But it doesn't happen that way, because these guys don't know jack shit about what other prerequisites of being in a band. They don't know jack shit, trust me. The day they'll realize, it's gone now. It's history. Now there is no band. There is no question of, even talking about a band because I don't see any band anywhere. Everything is only about me, myself. That's about it. And there will be 10 me's who will get together and then they call it a band. That's not a band. 10 me's cannot form a band.
Because there is a marked difference, Ravi, which I'm sure you will also understand. When, guys are spending time together, chilling out together, getting drunk, having parties, and also making music.
Yeah.
And not just making music, but practicing it regularly, once a week, twice a week. You're having shows. And then those subtle nuances in the songs, that tightness and that that sound actually comes after all that. It can't come if I just email you 3 tracks and 12 tracks and tell you that we have a gig on the 25th. We have one practice before that.
Exactly. That's what is happening now.
That sound doesn't come through.
Doesn't come. But now it's history. Now it's like COVID. The problem is also the money, because a lot of musicians who join bands are also joining for the money. It doesn't work that way, because if otherwise, then if you say, okay, you have a band, then keep that as your priority, and if you're doing other things, then learn to balance both.
And I think for musicians, I would also like to make clear what Ravi is saying is that if you are going to be a musician who's going to play in 7 setups or 8 setups or 5 or 4 setups,
Yes.
the quality of the product is less. And if you play in, say, fewer setups where you are more into the music, more into the people also, because even the people angle is very important, the quality is going to be great. And just as a reminder to everybody who knows that, our field, music,
Yeah.
or art, or creative work in general, is not about the numbers you are churning out. It is about
Yeah.
the quality. You
Exactly.
might have 7,000 songs out, but none of them might make any difference.
Yes.
And you might have one hell of an album, and that might
Yeah.
change your whole universe.
Correct.
So art is a quality thing. If you want to go for quantity, then you might as well be, doing anything else. Like you could be a banking or accounts
Yeah.
person, or so that is, I think, one lesson that if you're a young musician, you're a band, focus on that, because it's not about numbers.
In our time, there were lesser bands, there were lesser musicians. Today, every corner has a musician, right? And every corner has like collective, some four me's coming together and forming one playing or whatever. So because of that, what happens is the demand and supply ratios are getting higher and higher. Because organizers, promoters, event companies, so now suddenly they are saying so much of variety, so they start demanding a certain variety. Then obviously the promoters come in the picture. The promoters will say, okay, I will take this guy, I will take this guy, I will take this guy, and form an ensemble and present. Why? Because that gig needs this. So if this promoter comes and talks to you and says, look, I'll pay you so much, you come and perform for this ensemble, you will immediately, the very next day, you will say bye-bye to the band and go. Then what happens to the band? Suddenly the band is nothing. I'm not saying don't do, but don't pretend.
Yeah.
Don't pretend. Don't create this, farce look at that, how committed you are to the band and all that. It's all bullshit. Because there is an agenda happening behind. Everybody has an agenda. There's nothing wrong in having the agenda. But then, see, a rock band, first of all, a poor rock band itself is struggling to survive. Because nobody wants to listen to a rock band. Nobody wants to pay a rock band. So, the very fact that you're doing something in rock is because of the love for it and because of the passion for it. So at least with your own guys, with your own family, don't bullshit.
And I also feel that Ravi, it's a tight situation even for these musicians, because at the end of the day, after a certain age, they need to be accountable to their families, and they have kids and wives and all that stuff. So I always when people ask me, and you can of course correct me if I'm wrong or if you have another opinion, I tell them that if possible, try to balance it with maybe, a profession that will be responsible for your bread and butter.
Correct.
And this you can do in whatever limited free time you can give. So at least you can be true to it. Because another problem that I'm seeing, Ravi, is people are compromising on their music.
Correct.
And they are doing things that they are not enjoying. And, I'm seeing excellent rock musicians, excellent metal musicians suddenly doing pop and suddenly getting into Bollywood.
Excellent rock, Baba, even jazz musicians.
Yes.
Who are so staunchly committed to jazz.
So they are doing, Bollywood covers and all. Nothing wrong with Bollywood covers. But the point is, when you decided to make it a profession, all the compromises happened. So instead of doing that, be true to your musical identity and maybe get a job so that there is not so much pressure on the music.
That's exactly what I was coming to as an advice. Because I've gone through all this. So it's very important to first be focused about, look, what do you want? And first of all, be true and honest to yourself first, and then be true and honest to others, whoever you are associating with. Simple as that. That's what I have always believed in. There's nothing to hide, or there's no need to create an aura. The aura gets created by itself. Forget the band. You're talking about the band. Okay. I'm saying if you want to do music, then depending on where you want to reach in that music, you have to find a second source of income for these guys, what happens is Bollywood becomes the second source of income. Bollywood becomes the second source of income. As you rightly said, if you're a jazz musician or a rock musician, you should find a second source of income so that brings you the money and you do rock and jazz. All these guys are playing in the band and then they start playing Bollywood because there's more money in that Bollywood. And
Yes.
these bands, those who are not really interested in Bollywood but are very sincere about the rock and jazz that they want to do, suddenly find their musicians,
Going everywhere.
going everywhere. So it's difficult, no? It's difficult.
Yes.
So then my advice is, if you want to do Bollywood, then be open, work the other way around. Just say, look, I am doing Bollywood. You call me when you want, rather than you saying that, oh, I am a band member and then I will go for Bollywood whenever they call me. Do the other way around. You say that, okay, I am a full-time Bollywood musician. If you require me for your gigs, I'm happy to come and play. But you know what they do? They'll come and they'll ask money. Oh, I get so much over there and you are paying me only so much. Arey boss, the poor rock band and the jazz band don't earn money.
Yes.
You have to understand that. Have you forgotten the days when you used to play in the same band and be so passionate about that music and not paid anything? Have you forgotten those days? And today that you're demanding of some, unreal amounts if some rock band calls you to play one show?
Absolutely.
But I don't find any logic rational in that. So this is where it shows how things change.
The most amazing part is, Ravi, that you've been a part of music since, the 70s, 80s, 90s, and you're still doing music. So is there any advice that you'd like to give to the musicians who are watching you right now, who are, say, looking for some experience and,
Right.
advice from you regarding how they can do what they're trying to do better?
Firstly, I think I would honestly, I don't know how to put this, but young people, what happens is because of the internet, they get completely blindfolded when they see a certain musician portraying something on the social media. So let me tell you, so a social media cannot define you, what you are, because many a times, many of them put forth a very false image in front of the social media, to create their standing and to create by which a lot of youngsters get influenced, seeing that, which may be fine. Maybe you need to do that to create that kind of an aura around you, but 70% of them are false. So I would, in real, they are just far away from what they project.
So if you're a young person, don't be too influenced by all the shoshabazi or the glam that you see on social media. वो actually वो सारा हवा होता है.
It's exactly. So there's lots more behind all that. So I would sincerely recommend that the youngsters look at everything, learn. Obviously, whatever can be learned, you learn. Whatever can be imbibed. But be on the guard. Don't form wrong values by watching somebody, and because that will really mess up the career in the future. If you start off with the wrong step ahead.
Correct.
So, and I would say, be honest and true to yourself. Be true to the kind of music that you do. See, why have you chosen music? Music is an art. It doesn't start with business. The business is added afterwards.
Absolutely, man. I say this so many times to people, Ravi, who ask me for voiceover advice, because I've been doing voiceovers for 17 years. So,
right.
So my music was always my passion. I never tried to make it into a profession. Although I've been lucky enough to, get some opportunities here and there, which kind of clicked for me. But voiceover and radio, and I'm actually a trained film and television production person.
Right. Wow.
So now, of course, I'm working with brands like National Geographic, Discovery, History, NDT, Good Times, etc. So now, when people ask me that, so in the pandemic time, what happened, Ravi, was that a lot of people lost jobs and stuff, right?
Yes.
And somehow people got this idea that if they just buy like an audio interface and a mic, they can start doing voiceovers and they can earn money. So, like 13, 15 times in a day, I'll get like some random message on Messenger or WhatsApp. People asking me, hey, how can we also become, so I have to explain to them that, brother, I've been doing this for 17 years now, which is why now Now,
Yes.
not then, but now,
Yes.
after so much time, people
Something
are
is coming.
giving a damn about who is Ashish David, or
Yes.
whatever. My
Yes.
voice has some kind of value.
Absolutely.
And I tell them that if you are starting off, don't compare yourself with me, because I've been doing this for decades now. But try to start it off as an art form.
Yes.
It should be the love of
Absolutely.
speaking or whatever art form it is.
Absolutely.
And then later on, like just like you said, the money will come. Of course, the money will
Yes.
come if you're good.
Correct.
But you can't start with saying your first question to me can't be like, how quickly will I start earning money and how much will I earn and where can I earn?
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. And it's like not that okay, you suddenly and then you go and learn music from a music college and you come and suddenly you start demanding that you pay me so much. It doesn't work like that because you got to first what should I say? Inculcate the credibility, inculcate that credibility for yourself, inculcate that respect for yourself.
What they like to call street cred.
Yeah. So it's like that. So I mean, so as I said, the business aspect comes later once you are grounded and you're kind of at least okay, you're sailing in a decent ship that's not going to sink as such. And then you can start thinking about the business and the monies and how to manipulate monies, how to manage monies. All that automatically comes, But don't start thinking with that. First, I think just be true to the music that you like and the music that you want to play. Like for example, me, I never got into Bollywood from the beginning because I'm not comfortable doing Bollywood. Okay, I have nothing against Bollywood. I have nothing.
But that's just not your scene. That's not your thing.
It's not me. I mean, so just because today, if there have been times where my monies have gone majorly down, and I've been mentally depressed as well. I could have just resorted to playing any show that I get. Then suddenly whoever calls me, chalo, just go and start playing. I could have done all that, but I didn't do that because it's just not in me. I cannot play. I can play recording sessions, okay, if any Bollywood song happens, chalo, recording, but I can't do live. I can't do live Bollywood gigs. I've never done that till now. I never got interested in it. I didn't want to do it.
And also, I think a huge part of being successful as a musician is by kind of having your own unique brand of what you're doing. Like, matlab, you can't be the entire masale dani. You can either be a very good mirchi, or you can either be a good haldi, or whatever there is. You can't be the whole garam masala. You have to be one thing.
Yes.
And whatever that one thing is, you gotta realize it and sort of, that's your journey of just perfecting that one flavor.
Correct. Absolutely. Some of my students, parents or students, they say, "Oh, sir, you play so well. Why don't you do Bollywood? How come you've not got any chance in Bollywood?" I said, if I would have done Bollywood, I wouldn't have been sitting here and teaching you. The very fact that I'm spending my time and energies in sitting here and teaching you is because if I would have been playing Bollywood, I would have been busy 24/7. Then I would have not looked at you.
And it's very sad that people like equate fame with a person's personal, like, say, goal.
Yeah, exactly.
Like for example, I never, like, in my wildest dreams thought that I will be, or in my desires also, like, it was not even a intentional thing to the universe that I want to do this. But I mean, like, an opportunity came, somebody asked me, would you like to sing this song? I was like, acha, kiske liye? This is Ekta Kapoor ke liye. I was like, theek hai. Like, I didn't go looking for it, and that's not my thing.
Exactly.
Like, when I was recording that song, like, a lot of people told me, "Arey, aapne to abhi Bollywood mein enter kar diya hai, ye wo."
Abhi to tumhara chand nikal jayega.
Abhi to tumhara chance. Like, I was like, dude, I'm doing this because you want me to do it. And of course, I loved the song. It's like a fucking awesome song. But that was not my thing. Like, so whatever your thing is, just be true to that, and I think things should work out fine.
Absolutely.
Tell us what is happening in the current phase of your life, and where do you see your music going, and what plans do you have, or what are you doing right now with your music?
I spent last couple of years introspecting myself as to where I'm going and what am I doing. And that's when I realized that, of course, it's not that I've not made mistakes. I've also made many mistakes in the past, due to which maybe some things didn't work out and things like that. So I realized, I think as of today, that I want to keep creating music, which I've always been doing, and I will keep creating music, but I have no plans. I have no plans for anything. I keep creating for the day. Whatever connects to people, whatever communicates to people, I'm more than happy. And I mean, I really feel I sleep peacefully today. Being very honest to everybody, and I don't have any baggage of anything, any wrongdoings, and keep improving myself in every which way that I can musically, because that's how people know me, and I would like to continue that. So I don't have plans, honestly, but I've released a lot of singles, and both my albums have got good recognition. My first album, The Bends, which was the fusion album, it was nominated for the best fusion album in 2013 for the GMA Awards.
Wow.
And the Raga Punch album, which I released later, was got the award at the Palm Expo for the best recorded and the best mixed and mastered album.
Wow.
So I received an award for that as well. So my fusion albums really did, both my albums did pretty well, thank God.
Ravi, would you like to give credit to any studios or mix engineers who worked on your...
Yes, of course. Raga Punch was mixed and mastered by a very good friend of mine, Shekhar Kusuma. And he mixed, and that whole album was recorded by me in this very room where I'm talking to you.
All right. And he mixed and mastered it.
He mixed and mastered it, yes. I recorded it and he mixed and mastered it. And that's how we shared that award together. So I got a nice
amazing
little trophy from them. And yeah.
If it's somewhere close by, maybe the audiences would love to see that trophy, man.
Yes, I'll show you.
Hey, that's awesome, man. Some great memories in there. Thank you for your time, Ravi. It was really great, that you could actually take out some time and share your experiences, share your stories. One thing that I can tell is that, after talking to you for almost an hour and a half, is that you're a very genuine person. You're very honest, what you see is what you get, kind of straightforward, no BS guy. You're all about the music. You've had the courage to stay true to your, brand of music. And I think you're an example of someone who's stuck to what they believed in, and you're still doing it. And another thing that, you had mentioned that I'd like to also tell people. So in my office, right, like sometimes I used to keep asking my boss, यार इस बार रेज मिलेगा क्या कुछ पैसा बढ़ेगा तो so they never used to reply. So one experienced colleague of mine, Ravi, used to tell me, Ashish, no reply is also a reply.
Yeah.
And I was like, and right now you said no plan. So
yes.
So I think no plan is also a plan.
It's also a plan.
No plan is also a plan. And sometimes, when we just trust our instinct and leave everything to the universe, beautiful things happen, man.
Absolutely.
And sometimes when you plan too much, nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
So no plan is also a plan.
Also a plan. And the vibration. You feel the vibration when you talk to a person, and when you associate with yourself with another person. The vibration speaks for itself. Always.
Absolutely. And thank you for all the great vibrations that you've given to the Ashish Ddavidd Show and to the audiences. Ravi, how was your experience of being on the Ashish Ddavidd Show?
I would say, it was impeccable and such a pleasure to be on this platform. I've watched a couple of your interviews, I'll be honest with you, and I really liked the way you went about it. And it's a very open-hearted conversation. And I can see that, even you are very open and very honest to whatever you say and do. And it's such a pleasure to be on this platform, Ashish. And thank you so much for reaching out to me. And I was so thrilled when I heard, from you that you'd like to have me on the show. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, man. It was lovely. And I'm pretty sure the next time we talk, you're going to have a bunch of more stories and we're going to have an amazing conversation then as well. Till then, have fun, live life dragon size. All right.
Absolutely.
And keep kicking ass, my friend. Salute to you from Ashish Ddavidd and the Ashish Ddavidd Show.
Thank you, Ashish.
All right. Bye, man. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.